Hey guys, welcome back to Friends and Enemas. My name's Lindsay, and who do I have with me?
I'm Scott Hatch.
Okay, you go by Scotty.
I go by Scotty. I feel like Scott is so boring.
I feel like when you're older.
Yes.
When you're older.
100%. See, like when I hear Scott, I think of like a 45-year-old businessman, not like a little 24-year-old that has a camera in his hand.
Right, exactly.
100%.
Do you want to introduce yourself
Would
more?
love to.
Like tell people why you're here.
Totally. So I am Scott Hatch. Scotty is what I like to go by because it doesn't sound so old. But I am from California. I was born in California, but I moved here when I was pretty young. So I basically was raised in Arizona.
Okay.
I was raised in a very large family, a large Mormon family, and basically always had a camera in my hand. I did photography. I started my photography business when I was 15.
Really?
And it was so much fun. I tried working at like a regular like fast food chain. Like I worked at a bakery. I worked at a fondue place. Didn't vibe with it.
It wasn't for you.
Just don't like being told what to do sometimes. Especially as a teenager, I'm like, I'm okay.
We have that in common.
100%. So I was like, I want to do something that I can like be my own boss. And I've always had like that entrepreneur mindset. But when, like, for example, my parents would tell me funny stories when I was like 8 years old, I would go through like bulk trash, post it on OfferUp and sell it and make some cash. Like that was what I did as an 8-year-old.
You were an entrepreneur.
100%. So like I've
Right
always just had like that kind of mindset. And then after I basically started my photography business, I always had a camera in my hand and was doing weddings, was doing stuff for small brands, like, you know, like promos for like small businesses. And then I served an LDS mission for 2 years, came back and basically got right back into it. I worked as a medical assistant for 6 months at a plastic surgeon's office, which was really, really fun. And was like, I'm going to go into my medical era. And then I found out how much schooling it is, and I said, I think I'm going to be good.
I like my photography.
I said 6 months of learning photography on YouTube or 8 years, and I said, I'm going to stick with the camera.
Absolutely. Honestly, I don't blame you. I was a nurse tech before I was a nurse. And
amazing.
Yeah. It was amazing because now I'm a nurse, and it definitely helps with that. But like being in that position of deciding, do I really want to go to school for this? Like,
I have so much respect for anyone that goes to school for more than 2 years. Don't know how you do that.
100%. That is why I didn't want to go further.
Totally.
I passed my bedside RN. I'm like, no, you can't get me back in school. You can't pay me.
100%.
You can't pay me. It's too much.
100%.
So being a medical assistant, then you might know a little bit. Sorry, not a little bit, but I'm talking about like my area, like in the hospital. Maybe we'll have some differences.
Oh, sure.
So I'm going to show you some pictures to start off, and you're going to tell me what you think they are called and what you think they're for.
Perfect.
And so if you're watching on YouTube, these are going to be on YouTube.
Love.
So.
Oh no.
This is the first one. Do you know what that is? We'll start with this little guy. Do you know what this is?
Is that a catheter?
You're kind of close, but.
Say that goes up something that does not look comfortable.
Jared, will you go grab this from the other room?
That looks like a handle.
Right? I want him to see how big this is in real life.
Is it really small?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's not. So when you say catheter, you're gonna be like, they better not stick that up me.
100%.
So I'll just tell you. What would you think it's called? So you think it's a catheter, so you think it's for pee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Urine grabber.
This is called a Purewick.
Okay.
It's like the nurse's mascot. If you ask any nurse what a Purewick is, they're going to know what it is. And
I'm asking all my nurse friends now.
Do it. They're going to have a different name for it.
Okay.
Twat dog.
Twat dog.
Cooter canoe.
You're lying.
Peach leech. Because this is an external catheter for women typically.
Shut up.
Yeah. So like I have a hair on my lip. We literally stick it on their vagina and it is hooked up to suction tubing. And they pee and it suctions into the canister.
You're lying.
No,
I didn't know that was a thing.
It's the best invention. It's my favorite invention.
Because is it easier to...
If it works...
What's the word?
When it works, it's great.
Okay.
But when it doesn't work, it's just like pointless. I'm like, okay, you just pissed the bed. It's not your fault, but you know.
100%.
So Cooter Canoe, there's so many other names.
Love that.
I think I like Twat Dog a lot.
I think that one's the best one.
It's cute.
It's cute.
It's cute.
Very girly pop.
If he finds it, I'll show you it in person. Do you know what this is?
Does that go in a vagina? It looks like a bong.
It does.
But I know it's not.
No, this is for a man. Or it's for someone with a penis. Let me put it that way.
Is it to protect the tip?
Yeah, kind of.
Is it also a form of like catheter?
Okay.
Okay, period.
Yes.
It looks like it would go on the tip and like so you can pee.
Sure.
Is it what connects to to a catheter?
Here we are. What would you call it? By looking at it.
Oh.
I liked your other name too.
I know. I'm gonna come up with my terms,
that's
not
what
medical terms.
I want your terms.
Tip cover.
It's a condom cath.
See, I was gonna say something about a condom, but I was
close.
like, no, there's no way.
There's no way.
Amazing.
So literally, it's a sticky little thing that we roll down the penis.
Really?
And this connects to tubing.
To like an external catheter.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
See, you're getting it.
Yeah, maybe I should have gone to the.
You should have been there.
I should have been a nurse.
We'd be great coworkers.
Could you imagine?
What's this? They're kind of blurry pictures, so sorry.
No,
about that.
I can totally see. Okay, obviously it's a bag. Is it a colostomy bag?
You're kind of close.
Is it
not
for-
a colostomy bag. It is for shit.
It is for shit. Mm-hmm. Does that go up their butt?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Didn't know that was a thing.
This guy goes. So we literally have to lubricate the end of this, stick it up their booty hole, which is so like degrading.
Is it for when they're in like surgery? Or
it can
just
be for many things.
Gotcha.
But like, let's say they have loose bowel, they've got wounds on their bottom. We don't want poop getting into the wounds, so sometimes that's a reason.
Amazing.
So we'll put this in it. It's called a Flexi Seal.
A Flexi Seal.
Yeah, I think that's just like the brand of it.
Okay.
But that's what everyone that I've met calls it. And you literally put it in, and then you blow up a balloon so it can't tug out. So if you pull it,
So you're putting your mouth next to their derriere. Is it far away?
what do you mean? We get a syringe of air.
I thought you blew it up with your mouth. I said, oh, you're getting your mouth close.
Never mind. I'm so glad I'm not a nurse. That's fucking hilarious.
That is wild.
No, you get a syringe of air.
Amazing.
Thank God. And you blow it up that way.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
See, this is so interesting because I was working with women who are getting like mastectomies or boob jobs or labiaplasties or liposuction. This is a whole different field.
Exactly.
It's
That's
wild.
why, like, I like to bring up nursing specifically. It's so, or like honestly anything within the medical field. It's so, there's so many options.
Absolutely.
And that's the pros of it. I mean, there's plenty of cons. Let's see. I think I just have a few more. What's this?
I know exactly what that is.
What?
That's to
Yes!
on like is that for an adult? Or can you use it on an?
I don't know that part. So I only see these in the ER. That's the only place I've seen them. They're called a Lucas machine. And yes, you're right. It does CPR for you. Yeah.
That's a slay because Avery would talk about how she would do CPR for hours, and I'm like,
I don't know if you can use them on kids. From my experience, they're fairly new.
Gotcha.
But they will crush your ribs. So
totally. Oh, God.
They do the job.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyway, that was, I was going to say.
Oh, period.
You got that. Okay. What's this? Last one.
It looks like a douche.
It's an enema.
Okay, that's what I figured.
Okay, you
Friends
were
and
close.
enemas.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, maybe he'll know.
Period. That was actually really. I love doing that kind of stuff.
Wasn't that cute?
It's almost like when you go to therapy and you like have like show you a picture and like, what does this look like to
literally.
you?
What does this mean to you?
No, literally, it's exactly how that felt.
This is the pure wig. So when you said catheter, I was like, okay, he needs to see how big this is.
Oh my God, that is so much
But
bigger than I
literally,
thought.
just like,
amazing.
it's amazing.
So is that the handle?
This piece goes on the twat dog, and then you connect, and then you.
Really?
Yes.
I thought that was just the handle.
No handle. It just goes right there, and that's spongy, and they pee into it,
and then it
soaks.
Up. You're lying.
When I'm old, I want this.
Yeah.
At my house, 100%. I want to sit in my Netflix and chill when they say, "Are you still watching?" Absolutely, I am.
Absolutely, I'm not getting
I've got
up
my
to pee.
pure wig.
Got my pure wig. That's iconic.
Right?
I love that so much.
Okay, so you were a medical assistant at a plastic surgeon's
Yes.
office. So I'm sure you have like stories, or do you have anything that you think is interesting?
So many. I have horror stories of things that have happened.
Will you tell them?
Absolutely.
Because I think you know, and I don't know actually if I've ever talked about my experience plastic surgery wise on my podcast. Or if I've told you.
No.
But you start. Tell me your horror story, because that's probably lined up with mine.
So what I did specifically is we had only 2 days where we saw clients. The other 3 days was basically like reaching out to insurance companies, doing all like the nitty gritty paperwork like on a computer. So 2 days of the week we saw patients. It was Mondays and Wednesdays, and those days were the craziest days. It was nonstop for 9 hours. Like it was just like boom, 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 boom. Like we never had a break. Like we didn't take lunch on those days because she would have like surgeries on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Okay.
Is what I think what it was. So she wasn't really there. She was only there 2 days a week just to basically see checkups, see how everything's looking. And then sometimes we would assist in like small procedures, so like liposuction, if she was doing like removing a lipoma, like things like that. Like we basically would like assist in those. Thinking about it now, I don't know if I was qualified to do the things that I did because
Maybe you were.
I'll ask because I'm so curious. If I was like, I don't think I'm allowed to do this, but there was two stories I'll tell because they're very entertaining. The very first time she was like, I want you to assist in a lipoma on someone's head.
Okay.
And I was like, okay,
I have
period.
one actually.
No way.
A little bump, right?
It was like a little, like a gumball.
Okay.
It was pretty big, enough for him to be like, when I get haircuts, it like, people always nick it and it's annoying. So she was like, all right, so there was 3 other medical assistants there, and they were like, I don't want to do it. Like, it looks disgusting. And I was like, I'll do it.
That's my favorite.
I'm like, this is when I'm in the era of like, I could be a doctor. I could do anything.
Prove myself.
Absolutely not. So got into the room, into the OR, and like she's like gloving me up, and I was like, I've never done this before. And she was like basically showing me how to put on these gloves that go up to your elbows.
Yeah.
And I was like doing it, and she was like, oh, that's not sanitary anymore. You have to do another one. And I was like, oh, so this is like business.
Sterile
so, like
procedure.
We're scrubbing up, and I was like, I felt like Lady Spine Doc. I felt so cool. Literally felt amazing. So I was like, okay, so we basically get gloved up, we put on hairnets, and I put on a mask and like a whole thing. And I felt so cool. And I was like,
I can do some of this.
a 3-week program and I'm basically performing surgeries? Absolutely. Making $25 an hour? Wonderful.
Great.
So she basically was doing obviously everything, and I was like her extra pair of hands.
Okay.
So she starts cutting this guy's head open. Don't know how graphic we can get, but
you can
literally grabs a scalpel and I was like, oh, that's a lot of blood. And it really wasn't. It really wasn't. She starts cutting him open, and basically she has like these 2 forks that like have angles on them, and she puts it in there and pulls them apart, and she goes, I need you to hold these 2 like apart. And I was like, what? I thought I was just handing you things and just watching. That was what my expectation was. So she literally is jabbing it in there, pulling it apart, and you can see it.
Yeah.
Like it's all open.
Is it like a little white thing?
It's like a little white,
yellowy.
It's really gross looking.
I watched Dr. Pimple Popper.
Oh god, see that is I watch all the time, so I was like, oh, I could do that. And I legit got a job there because I was like, could you imagine if like I became a plastic surgeon? Like everyone here's getting it, so I'm like, I'd make so much money.
I could do it.
Then I found out what school was. So she's opening him up, and then she starts basically like grabbing some tweezers and pulling on it and like cutting around it to like basically pull it out.
Okay.
She looks at me and she's like, you're looking a little pale, are you all right? And I was like, I'm fine. I'm fine. And I'm holding it apart and I start shaking because I'm like, oh my God. She's just like, she's not like a gentle, like, snip, snip. It's like jabbing around. And this guy, like, just watching the numbing before, I was like, oh, she really. And the guy was flinching a shit ton.
Oh.
She's kind of known for it. Like, just kind of like going ham, like, get it done.
She don't give a fuck.
No, she does not care. She's like, you're numbed. I don't care. And the guy's just sitting there, wide awake, just getting his head cut open. So she basically starts doing, and she goes, I'm gonna need you to step out. Like, you look like you're about to faint. And I was like, thank you. So she has another person come in. They have to stop everything, glove up another one. And I'm watching from like the outside because there's like a little window. And I literally am sitting there, and I felt like my knees getting like jiggly. Oh, no. And I was like, I'm gonna fucking pass out. So I literally go and sit down, and I'm sitting there like waving myself, and I throw up in a trash can because I'm like, I am not built for this.
Oh no.
This is the smallest procedure ever. It's like getting a mole removed.
When you say if they're cutting his head open, I'm like, no, but I see what you're saying.
So there were days where she would like let us go to like the hospital that she worked at, and like basically when like you're up in a room and you're watching her do like a mastectomy, and I was like, from far away, I was like, totally. So like when she asked me, I was like, yeah, I could do it. I've seen stuff like that before. It doesn't bother me. When you're up close and there's blood everywhere, not everywhere, I'm being dramatic, but blood, I'm like, oh my God.
If it's not for you, it can be a little drop, and you're like, whoa.
100%. And like you said, like I always watch like Dr. Pimple Popper and like her show when she would like be doing all of that. I'm like, cool.
Easy.
When you're in the room, horrible. So that happened, and she was like, the next day she had another one, but it was on someone's cheek, like a little lipoma under the skin.
Okay.
And she's like, do you want to assist? And I said, I will never be doing that ever again. She's like, I thought you wanted to be a plastic. And I was like, yeah, I thought I did till yesterday.
One and done.
So I said, thank God I didn't get any student loans for that. It was so
Literally.
bad though, because like just seeing someone's scalp cut open and like looking in there, I was like, I don't know how I could do like a full surgery. Could not be me.
Yeah.
It was wild.
To be fair, there's some stuff that like I as a nurse, like I can't deal with.
Totally.
Vomit.
Oof.
Like I know it's no one's fault, but like
absolutely.
I want to be I will switch anyone. I will clean up your shitty patient. Yeah. I will do anything but deal with vomit.
100%.
And like broken bones. I don't know about that.
I know.
So I feel you on that. Everyone has their thing. It's funny though, like my little sister, I've always tried to get her to go to nursing school, and she's like, I can't handle a drop of blood. What makes you think I could do that?
100%.
I'm like, all right, fair.
And I was like, I'll do nursing. I can do injecting. It's cute.
It's cute.
Nope, got love filler, and I said, never again. Could not imagine poking someone.
But that's how you know.
Oh, totally.
And like you said before, you went and got school loans.
I legit was like, she was like, I'll support you. Like, we can get you some like government assisted programs. Like, it would be so affordable. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, my life is made.
Yeah.
Nope.
Done.
And I quit, I think 3 months later. I was like, why am I even here? If I'm not going to pursue this, why am I here?
You said this is literally not for me.
So it was a literal 6-month thing. And I said, I'm never going back.
But you tried it.
Yeah.
And you dabbled in it. So like, 100%. You know.
Absolutely.
You said there were 2 stories.
Yeah. So, oh God, actually, there's so many that come to mind.
Like,
I'm like, it's 2, actually, I have 40. So before I was a medical assistant there, I was actually a medical assistant at a like all-male clinic.
Oh, okay.
And that was basically where they treated erectile dysfunction.
Okay. Interesting.
And this was before, so that's why I was like, going from there to like the plastic surgeon was such an upgrade.
Yeah.
No, this was like basically men like 60 and over, mainly. There was rarely where we got men that were like between 30 and 40.
Okay.
And we basically treated erectile dysfunction. And then it got really sketchy because I found out that the doctor wasn't a doctor and he was using under someone's license.
What?
For permission.
I'm going to have to look this up.
This business is no longer in business. So I was a medical assistant basically assisting in doing, it was like a shockwave therapy.
Wow.
Directly to the penis. And I was like, another thing where I was like, I don't think I'm qualified for this. I just left a 3-week program. We didn't talk about this. So I did a 2-day Zoom training where this guy basically tested it on a dummy in front of you and like shows you how to use this equipment. It basically is like a gun.
Okay.
It literally looks like a banana. Like you hold it like almost like a banana and it vibrates on the end and you basically just go like from the perineum up the shaft.
Really?
Yeah. So you basically just shock all the way up and it creates blood flow so that people can like get an erection. So then we started that process. I was only there for 3 weeks because I was like, I found out way too much. I'm not getting involved in this lawsuit. I'm not going to be one of the people that are going to like give someone erectile dysfunction.
Right.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
People are asking me terms and I'm like, I don't even know what that means.
Imagine going to court over that.
Could you imagine?
No.
So left that immediately and then went to the plastic surgeon. But yeah, I would basically just see saggy nuts all day. It was great.
Okay. I mean.
And it's so funny because guys would come in and they're like, are there any like male or females here that can like do this? And I was like, nope, you got me, bud. Sorry.
Honestly.
Get over it.
Okay. That's a thing. That's a thing in the hospital. PSA to all general public that are listening to this. If you are a nasty man doing that, we will find the nearest male coworker
100%
to come do something with your penis for us.
Yep.
It is strange. Like, I don't care about your penis.
No.
It's anatomy.
100%.
I'm doing what I need to do to help you. I have had a time where I was inserting a Foley catheter internal. No. You have to hold the penis.
Yeah.
Grabbed my hand and tried to like go up and down. And I kind of freaked out. I was like,
too.
What are you doing? Don't touch me. His wife was in the room. So I was like, anyway.
It's
left
disgusting.
Immediately. It's disgusting.
So gross.
It's sexual assault.
100%. 100%.
I can't do anything about it, apparently. Which is bullshit. Right. It's like.
Make that make sense.
Yeah, make that make sense. Sorry, got off on a rant.
No, it's men.
Men. We know about that.
Yeah.
Well, moving on. Tell us more about, you said you were Mormon.
Yes.
And I find that very interesting. I grew up very Christian.
Okay.
And there's like lots of different Christianity.
Totally.
But the more I learn about Mormonism, I'm like, it's kind of close. It's like, if you heard of Pentecostal,
yeah.
It's like that, but like without the get up.
Totally.
It's just very in your face.
100%.
So I want to hear your version of
Absolutely.
events.
So I was born and raised LDS.
Okay.
I have generations and generations before our family that have always been in the LDS faith. And I was raised very Christian in the way of like we had morals and standards that basically we had to abide by. We were like a very picture perfect Mormon family. We still are. Our family is all still LDS. And we had like basically like a regular schedule where you have church on Sunday. You go to school during the week. There was, a mutual activity, which is when people your age meet up. It was just a very cookie cutter life for a long time. And as I got older, obviously realizing that I was gay, I was like, things are starting not to like make me feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Like I was, in lessons and they were talking about, a marriage is between a man and a woman and it's so beautiful and all you men, and they would basically, because you basically, when you go to church, you have like, you sit with like all the young men and then all the young women are with all the young women.
Oh,
they're teaching us how to be fathers, how to provide, how to do all these things. The women are being taught how to change a diaper, how to, make submit. A meal, and basically, submit. So basically like there's these opposite gender roles that I just don't agree with. And I was always like, well, I see other families outside of this faith, like where the mom works and the husband stays at home. And it works for them and they're happy. So like things just started to like make me feel a little uncomfortable in the way of like, I don't feel included. And they would have lessons like, I know you guys don't do this. I know you're all good kids, but we have to talk about it. And it's like, well, I have done those things. So you basically just called me a bad person without knowing it.
Yeah.
So it's just hard because a lot of these people who are teaching us are just people that work a regular 9 to 5. They're not educated. They're not doing these things specifically for these topics. They're just reading out of a book. So when they're telling me like, this is bad, it's like, well, that's what the book's saying. Do you believe that? And like you're telling these young kids, I know you guys don't drink and you're good kids, but we have to talk about it. Well, me and so-and-so were at a party last week and we were drinking. So what are you saying to us? Right. So just always have like that negative mentality for like when I was like 16 to 18, I was like, because that was when it really started to like hit me like, okay, I'm basically an adult now. I'm becoming myself. Like these things aren't adding up with my lifestyle. Yeah. Like I do like going out with my friends. I do like kissing guys. Like those things were just not making sense. So like I just shoved my own like insecurities and stuff under the rug. I was like, don't worry about it. Like just
we'll figure it out later.
Go on a mission and it'll cure me and I'll come back happy.
Yeah.
And it just got to the point where like it was so bad. Like when I was in high school, I would drink a lot because I was like, well, I'm depressed, so let's just drink my feelings. So I got into like a really bad place with like pills, alcohol. Like I was just going through like this phase where I'm like, I'm just gonna numb any way possible and not think about my future, because when I think about it and I'm talking about it with my family, it's just anxiety. I'm like, oh my God, like I don't want to marry a woman, but I'm telling you I am. I don't know if I want kids, but I'm telling you that I'm gonna be a great father to 7 children. Like these things just weren't making sense. And then I went on an LDS mission. That was basically, I will always be grateful for my mission. 1, because I got to learn a language. I got to learn Spanish, which was amazing, and I still use it to this day.
Okay, that's cool.
So cool. And then 2, it was like my sober journey, basically, going on a mission. Like, it was cold turkey. Yeah. Like, I was basically doing crap up until my mission, because I was like, am I really about to leave for 2 years?
Oh, 2 years?
It's 2 years. You have no connection with your family except for once a week.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It is tough, like, strict schedule.
Wow.
Like, you have to wake up at 6. Work out, study, go out and proselyte from 10 to 9 p.m. You have to be outside all day.
Oh, wow.
Come back, basically get ready for bed, and do the same thing every single day for 2 years.
Wow.
That got so... I don't do well with the routine.
Yeah.
I like doing like my own thing. Like, oh, today, you know what? I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Like, it's very like flow. And I think that's because of my mission. I just was basically go. And you don't have time to think about yourself, which for them, it's great because you're focusing on other people and serving other people, which is great. But I would start teaching these lessons to people, and I'm like, in the back of my head, I don't agree with that. Mm-hmm. Like, there was this lesbian couple we were teaching on my mission, and obviously we're taught to teach them, in order for you guys to get baptized, you have to separate. And you can't, be living in the same room.
Yeah.
So that got really hard, because in that lesson, I never said the words to them. Yeah. I had to have my companion say it. I was like, I'll have you do that part, not like with any like reasoning why. I was like, I'll have you do that part, I'll do this part. Because I just could not look at them in the eye and say, for you guys to be baptized, you have to leave this relationship that you're so happy in, that they were so excited to meet us, so excited to hear about God. And the last lesson, which I find kind of a little like frustrating, is the last lesson is where you talk about like the law of chastity, which is like abstaining from sex and, no pornography and things like that. So it was like being able to like have him look at her and say that, I was looking at the ground. And I was like, oh my God, we just said that. Yeah. And it broke my heart, because if anyone ever told me that in order for you to be happy, you have to leave your partner,
I just got chills.
I would be so sad.
Yeah.
So I remember that happened. And from that point on, it was like 18 months into my mission, I was like, I'm living my truth. Like, this is not okay. So basically, once that happened, it was a few months after that the pandemic hit, and I was basically inside all day. And then I met one of my companions that we kissed and had a whole thing, which we talked about on Avery's episode a lot. And that whole thing happened, and I was like, oh my God, like that kiss on my mission changed everything. Yeah. So basically got home and I was like, well, shit. Got home, I served for 2 years. Nothing's changed. Still into guys. What does this mean now? Yeah. And the day I got home, there was a girl waiting for me that I wrote. I love her so much.
Aww.
We're still really close friends, and I
really?
love her so much.
That makes
She
me
is
happy.
the most beautiful person ever. I'm like, if we did get married, I would have been honored. She's so beautiful. But I broke her heart because I'm not going to do that to you.
Yeah.
Seeing, basically in Lily's faith, it is believed that if you are gay, you either live an abstinent life or you marry a woman still. I don't understand that. That's never made sense to me, even when I was a child.
Yeah.
I'm like, why would someone want to live alone?
Yeah.
Why would you want someone to be alone? So it just got to a point where I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And I basically had separated from going to church. I stopped going to church, started like exploring more about my sexuality, going on dates with guys, meeting guys, going through a whole phase, and basically just figuring out what I liked.
Yeah.
And it was just a whole process of like, I think it's so hard too, because people are always like, oh my God, you left the church. Like, why do you have to talk about it? Like, just leave.
Yeah.
It's like, that's my story. People always will shit on people for leaving the church and talking about it, but you get to talk about how much you love your faith.
Right.
And that's amazing. And I love that for you. And I will support that.
Right.
You love your faith and you're happy with it. I love that. But you have to be okay with me having my experience that wasn't perfect. Yep. And I'm allowed to share my story.
Snaps. Literally, that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
I didn't have the same, obstacles that you did. But I grew up in a very religious household that preached the same things, but more so like, if you're gay, you're going to hell.
Totally.
That type of way.
Totally.
And even as a child, I was like, damn.
It's intense.
That's intense.
Totally.
Going to hell for that. What? Because, when you're raised from a child learning about heaven and hell, hell is scary.
Oh, it's fire.
It's fire.
You think
You're
about fire,
burning.
100%.
And so I was like, that seems mean. Seems cruel.
Yeah.
And it's kind of started this idea of like, why? Questioning. But anytime I questioned it, at least in my immediate family or my church,
Totally.
shh, we don't question things.
Exactly.
Or
God is perfect.
You're not obeying, or you're one of those loud women. And I'm like, oh, okay. But like conditioning you to be meek and quiet and just
roll with the punches.
Roll with the punches.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot of religious trauma as well from my own, and we don't have to get into that. But when people say like, oh, but you're offending me because of like, I believe, I'm like, that is fine for you to believe. I respect your faith. Yeah. I promise I do. I don't respect that like you can't reciprocate it.
100%.
It's weird.
Because here's the thing too, at the end of the day, in any religion, there are hundreds of religions.
Hundreds.
I'm so sorry, but not everybody's going to agree, and that's okay. And that goes for everything. Yeah. It goes for politics, relationships, everything. You're not going to always agree with everybody, but guess what? You can love.
Yes.
Loving someone is so easy. Hating someone and having so much guilt or... what's the word I'm looking for? Negativity, grudges, like that's deep. That takes away my energy. Yeah. It's exhausting. I don't want... loving someone, being like, love that for you. So much easier to say than I hate that you do that. Like that, your blood starts to boil. I'm like, you're telling me that that's easier?
Right.
So
the energy that you expel during that
100%.
Does not match just being neutral or, okay, love that 100%. For you. I love that about you.
Thank you.
It kind of, I've watched a lot of your TikToks and stuff, and I think here and there, either it's been on Avery's or yours, or I've seen glimpses of you and like talking about yourself. I'm like, that's really cool that you feel that you can.
Totally.
Because so many people don't.
And it helps so much when you have your support group. Yeah. You have to find your people that like you have a lot of like you agree on a lot of things. And obviously with all my friends, I don't agree on every single thing that we do. But like we have a lot of things that we do agree on. Yeah. And it's like that's what you just need. Like I've also grown to learn like family is not always blood. Like so many of my friendships
I knew we'd be friends.
Are literally like my family.
Yeah.
Like I look at them as family.
Yeah.
And those are people that I go to and I talk to about everything. My own family is very supportive of me. So it's like those are the kind of things that I have in my life that I'm so grateful for. Yeah. And just because they're blood doesn't mean you can't cut them off. I've had so many people in my life that I'm like, see ya.
I knew we would be friends
100%.
Because there's some people that really just understand that, and it's the people who have been through it versus people who are like, I could never cut my...
That's your sister.
That's your mom, dad, grandma, whoever.
Totally.
I don't care if they're not respecting me and my boundaries.
Always.
You're gonna get one chance from me and then you're done.
Absolutely. And that's another thing is people are always like, why don't you shit on the church more? Like, why don't you do this? And I was like, because I respect my family, because they respect me.
Yes.
Like, do I disagree with a lot of things? Absolutely. But I'm not going to go make it my full personality and be like, I hate this, I hate that, I hate that. No, I'm going to move on and live my happy life because some people are happy with it. Exactly. Have so much fun. I'm going to go live my happy life.
Exactly. I think that's the best way to do it. I feel like these conversations are so important.
Absolutely.
Because there are other people out there that do feel the same as we have.
Absolutely.
But they've never had the support. And like you said, it can be extremely isolating.
Totally.
And like when you were saying you're depressed and you're, alcohol or whatever you chose your vice.
Yeah.
It's because of isolation.
Absolutely.
That's why I'm like, why are we isolating people who are questioning things? It's okay to question things.
Absolutely.
In fact, I encourage it.
Right? Because then it creates conversation. It
does.
creates questions. And then you have some people that are like, oh, I actually didn't know that answer, like the answer to that. Like,
You're right.
You can find people that do know that information. And it's like, perfect. You learned that. Now you can basically apply that to your life.
Okay. Thinking about Mormonism, there was a TikTok going around not long ago about BYU.
Yeah.
And what's the term?
Soaking. I knew you were going to say that.
I have to ask because what the fuck is that, and is it real?
I've heard stories about this, but I'm not going to say it's true or not. I mean, some people just like to blab.
Right.
But I almost went to BYU.
Really?
When I came home from my mission, I was like, start my education, going to
Gonna
Utah.
be a doctor.
Yeah, literally, like, be a doctor. Yeah, that didn't work out. But I remember going to tour it with my brother, and that was also, this was like a week after my mission.
Yeah.
We walked around the campus. He was showing me around because he went to BYU. And my companion that I kissed on my mission went to BYU.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh, wait, he's here. I'm going to go say hi. And I heard some stories about people doing soaking, which, okay, to define soaking, it's basically when two people are having sex.
Yeah.
And basically goes in, and someone either is under the bed pushing up and down so that you're not doing the action, or basically you just put it in, because if you're not like going at it,
it's not you.
It's not sex.
Right.
And
wasn't my decision.
If it just goes in and out, not sex.
Okay.
That's incorrect. But basically, it's like everyone's always trying to find a loophole.
Yeah.
It's a very common thing too. It's so common that a leader in the church talked about it at General Conference.
Really?
That people go to Vegas, get married for $75, have all the sex they want, get back and get divorced.
Wow.
I said, how about we just have sex?
Okay, this is my next, put me on a...
You went through a marriage and a divorce in a weekend so that you could have sex. Are you serious?
And we're shaming people for natural human things.
Exactly.
It's okay to have sex before marriage. And if you don't agree with it, that's fine. But these are this is what people are going through.
You're putting people into guilt, and they're going to do it anyways.
And shame.
And shame.
Over what?
Exactly.
I'm like, really? You're going to have a third, fourth, fifth person in there bouncing the bed so it goes in and out?
Exactly.
Come on.
I'm not doing the action. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So it's like,
it wasn't
come on,
me.
be so for real.
God forbid. And I only bring it up because I actually brought it up one of my first season. Me and my friend were talking about it because I think that's when it was going around.
Yeah. It went so viral on TikTok.
A lot of Mormons were in my DMs very upset about it, and I was like, I wasn't saying it was true. I just was like, interesting, but also it seems like it might be true.
No.
So I'm like,
denial is a river in Egypt. Like, come on, you guys. It's so real.
Exactly.
You would be so surprised that people, like, the loopholes people will find to, like, break a commandment. I'm like, just do it.
I know. And the
Stop.
denial. Like,
100%.
But it's hard. I get it's, like, hard when you're in it.
Oh, absolutely.
When you believe it, it's
oh, yeah.
You're
I remember
indoctrinated.
when I had my first cup of coffee, I was freaking out.
Right, because you guys aren't supposed to drink, like, caffeine?
It's not caffeine. It's basically coffee, tea, and alcohol.
Okay. Explain, please.
So basically, there is a thing called the Word of Wisdom, and there are certain things that, like, basically it's like a diet.
Okay.
Almost. Meat sparingly, have your fruits and veggies, eat your grains, like those kind of things. Like, it's a healthy diet. You know, no tobacco, no drugs, no alcohol, tea. Because basically when those commandments were made, it was in the 1830s. So that, like, coffee and tea were, like, caffeine. Like, that was, like, a big drink to them at the time.
Okay.
Obviously, time has evolved, and, like, energy drinks are very common, and soda. Those are way worse than a cup of coffee. Like, there's things that, like, there's chemicals in that shit. This is a coffee bean. So, like, in the time when it was made... When the Word of Wisdom was made, it was years and years ago, and that at that moment, those were, like, your heavy drinks.
Okay.
So that is why, obviously, like I said, things have changed because we have, like, a modern day, like, Red Bull and all these things. So, like, those should be on that, but people, like, find that's, like, their gray area. Like, I don't drink tea, but I drink 6 Diet Cokes a day. Because it's better for me.
Because it wasn't in the Bible.
100%.
That's why.
So it's always, there's always gray areas in so many religions. There's always loopholes people try to find and justify.
Yeah.
So it's definitely
and I get it.
A thing for sure.
Yeah. You were talking about how, like, you came home, you realized you're gay.
Yeah.
Can you kind of walk us through like your coming out story?
Absolutely. So it was a long, like, solo thing, basically, of like figuring things out. I wanted nobody to know.
Yeah.
I was basically going to live a life where I was like doing things that I wanted, and I was living a double life for like a solid year.
Yeah.
I got my own apartment really quickly after getting home from my mission, because I was working and I was doing everything I could to be like independent, because on a mission you get a small budget and you basically work. So like it really gave me like that tool of like having a good schedule, paying my bills, living on a budget. Like that like really like taught me that independence, which I'm so grateful for.
Yeah.
So I got home and I was like, I want to keep this independence. I don't want to like stay at my parents and just like be lazy. Like I wanted to like get going now. Like life basically started for me after my mission.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to get things going, and I was like, okay, well obviously I want to date and I want to like go and do like fun things with friends. So like, what do I do? And for a long time I was basically like portraying myself as still like a perfect like return missionary.
Yeah.
But on the backside, I was like, you know, going out with guys, going to bars with my friends, like having fun. And like when I was doing those things, I was so happy. Yeah. And I'm not saying like drinking alcohol made me happy, but like
you were being your true self.
Being my true self with people that supported me.
Yeah. That
didn't even know I was gay, but they knew, and they were still being so supportive. Just being with people that made me feel like I can be myself. I never felt judgment. I can be loud. Like those people, like I was like, oh my God, I feel so happy. Mm-hmm. And then when I go to, you know, a church service, or I go to like, you know, whatever, and I feel like judgment, or like, why are you talking like that? Why are you dressing like that? Like, I was like, wait, I don't want to be around this. Like, why are you judging me?
Constantly bringing you down.
100%. So I was like figuring out like what makes me happy. And I was like basically having an internal battle of like, okay, could I marry a woman? Like, could I live that lifestyle of like having that perfect cookie cutter life with the white picket fence? Like that could be me, but it's going to be a horrible life and whatever. So I was like really thinking like, okay, do I live single for the rest of my life and just be like a successful boss bitch? Like, what do I do? So then I got like kind of like a first boyfriend, and he would come over, we would have date nights and we'd have fun, but we'd always stay in my apartment. Okay. I never wanted to go out. I was like, we're not going to dinners, and if we do, we're eating it in our car. Like we're not going anywhere, we're staying in my house. And he was like, we can go, like I would love to take you out. And I was like, I don't want to be seen by anybody. Gilbert is small. And everybody knows everybody, especially for Mormons. So like it was just like, we are staying in, we are not going out. So I would basically just like seclude myself in like a little tiny bubble, but it was like my safe space. My apartment where I can be myself, watch whatever shows I wanted, drink what I wanted, do whatever I wanted. Like friends can come over and we can be ourselves. And it was for a long time that I'm like, I would then go to my parents' house and I'm like, doing great, I love this, and I'm like being like this different person. And it was so exhausting. I would go home and just cry, because I'm like, I just want to be who I am with my friends, with everybody. Like I just want that to be me. But I was so depressed, and then got back onto, you know, drugs and alcohol, because it was the only thing like that would basically make me feel comfortable to go to certain things, because certain people are so judgmental. And it wasn't until I was like, I need to come out, or I'm like, things are just not going to go well. And it was months and months and months of like building up the courage to like text my sibling and be like, I'm gay. But I'm like, what if this happens? So I basically got completely independent, was off my parents' insurance, health insurance. I had my own car, like everything was in my name. So I'm like, if anybody tries to like disown me or say get out, I'm safe. So once I felt like that point of like, I don't know how anyone's going to react. I hope that people are going to be supportive and lovely, but that's also not always the case. So I remember I got to a point where one of my friends was like, I was actually filling up at a Circle K, filling up my car, and one of my friends texted me and was like, can I come over? And I was like, absolutely. And this was actually a girl that I had dated in high school. And she was like, I just feel like things have been off with you. You seem so sad. But like, when you're with your family, like you seem so happy, because she would come with me to things. And she was like, it almost feels like you're putting on a mask. And I just lost it. And I was like, I don't know what to do. My life feels like it's going to go into shambles the minute I come out. And she basically supported me through coming out to my family. So I came out to one of my brothers first over text, him and his wife, and basically just sent a long paragraph. And reading the text now makes me so sad, because I'm basically in the text saying, I promise I'm still a good person. I promise I'm still Scotty. And I'm like, why am I saying these things? Like, I've always been a good person.
You were brainwashed to think you wouldn't be.
100%. So it just was a lot of like courage to be able to text my siblings. And when I got the text back, I was just on cloud nine.
Oh, good.
My brother Steven and Maggie, who now live in Florida, their text back was exactly what I needed. They're like, come over, we're gonna have a dinner, like we're gonna have a party, we're gonna celebrate. And going into their house and like them both having tears in their eyes and embracing me was the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
And basically it was like after that I was like gaining little bits of confidence here and there. So it was another sibling. I have 7 siblings, so or 6 siblings.
Okay.
7 total. So it was like it was a lot of people to come out to. So it was basically like every couple days, all right, let's paste and send. And the texts were just flooding in with support.
Good.
And I remember like after like texting everybody, I was very still like secluding myself. And the first event where like we were all going to be together, it was like us just going swimming or something. Just everybody like coming and giving me a big hug. And we're like, you can breathe now. Like, be yourself. We're so happy for you. And it just was like my depression, anxiety, everything just way off of my chest. Aww. And it was after that that I started being who I was with my friends around family and coworkers and, you know, other people I was meeting. I was being my full authentic self. And doing that for the first time was so powerful. Like just walking around and being like, no one can hurt me anymore.
Yeah.
Like I am being myself. And if no one likes that, bye. Yeah. You're not in my life anymore.
Exactly.
So it was a long process, but my parents was definitely the hardest because my dad was a bishop and my mom has had big leadership in the church as well. So it was like figuring out how to come out to them was so like nerve-wracking. I was just scared to tell my dad. Yeah. Because me and him are like, we're best friends. And I just did not want to disappoint him. I always want to like make him proud, both of my parents, but specifically my dad. And we've always been like buddies. Like I started working for him when I was like 10 years old, going to like little jobs. He's a handyman. So like he just does like little fixes here and there. And I would go with him to all those things. And we were just like best friends and we still are. And I remember I was like, I cannot tell them in person. I feel like a text is insensitive. I'm going to write them a letter. Oh. Still have that letter. It's like 3 pages front and back. And I basically wrote this letter, and you can see how awful my handwriting is because I'm like shaking as I'm writing it. But I put it in an envelope, and I was at my brother Steven's house. And I was like, I think I'm going to go drop off the letter because they lived like around the corner from my parents. And they were like, he was like, well, like you can come back here and like we'll be here to support you like no matter what happens. And I was like, okay. So I go there and I put the letter in the door. And I'm standing there and I'm like, this just doesn't feel right. And then I start knocking and I was like, why did I do that? I was freaking out. I was like, I'm just gonna go inside, chill for like an hour and then leave. So I go in and I'm sitting in my parents' couch, like just bouncing my leg, fidgeting with my fingers. Like I'm just like, my mom's like, are you okay? And I look at her and like I have tears in my eyes. I'm like, I'm fine. Oh, fine. And I was like, there's something that I want to talk to you guys about. And she was basically like, what's going on? So I pulled out the letter and I read it to them because I could not look them in the eyes. I was so scared because I felt like if I was looking at them and they like had like a wait, what kind of reaction, I would have like shut down. Yeah. And been like, oh no, I was just joking. And then like left and like felt like crap. But I literally read them the whole thing without looking up. And it's so sad. If you look at the letter now, there's like teardrops of like ink spreading in so many spots because I was just shaking and bawling reading it to them. And I basically like, after I finished it, I folded it, I put it in my lap and I'm still looking down. And I look up at my dad first because they're sitting on like opposite sides. And I look at my dad and he has the biggest smile on his face.
You're making me fall. I'm sorry, I'm a crier.
No, I normally do cry.
It's such
but I just see it as such a beautiful experience. Yeah. And he looks at my mom and he said, well, I can't say we're surprised.
They knew.
And then it was just this sweet experience of like talking about it. Like they were asking open, honest questions. And at that time, because I was like trying to like still be like basically portraying as a perfect person, I was like, oh yeah, I promise to still do this and do this. And that wasn't true, but I just didn't want to like disappoint multiple times in a night. Right. So it was a long process after of like open, honest conversations, asking questions about where I stand, what I believe, and where what my plan is of everything. Yeah. So it was just, I feel like it brought our family closer and made other people in my family feel like they can speak out about how they feel. Because I feel like everyone just like puts on a face and they're like, I'm just going to do whatever my parents say. Like, I'm just going to keep it cordial. But I'm like, that's the beauty of life is diversity. Yeah. Being able to have a different belief and seeing someone's belief. Yeah. I feel like if someone starts talking about what they believe and you can be like, oh, that's really cool that you believe that. I don't agree with it, but I think that's amazing that you can think that way. Right. Do you know how much easier life would be if people just thought that way? But no, they have to have the disagreement and they have to be like, no, that's dumb. That's stupid. Mean. 100%.
And it comes from like a place, I feel like, sometimes I understand it, like, and I came from a predominantly white community,
Yeah.
a small white community. You know, not looking back, I'm like, there was a lot of racist shit going on.
Oh, totally.
And it's because no one has ever left that bubble.
Exactly.
And it's not okay. It's not an excuse.
Nope.
But it does explain when you don't travel or allow different people into your life.
100%.
You will not understand other people.
Absolutely.
Cultures, environments.
When I was growing up, I was like, I can only have Mormon friends.
Right.
Only Mormon friends. If you weren't Mormon, I remember like when I was younger looking at someone, I'm like, how are you not Mormon? And now I'm like,
you're like, oh,
what a disgusting mindset. Like, how can you look at someone that you disagree with in a negative way? It's
right.
like, I disagree with so many people that I look up to.
Right.
Because guess what? I don't agree with every single thing everybody believes.
Exactly.
That's the beauty of yourself.
That's the beauty of life.
100%.
Like when you figure that out, I feel like you've figured out life, and
100%.
you can have such a better journey.
Absolutely. And you can have an actual conversation and an actual argument of like, why do you believe that?
Right.
Like,
and it doesn't come from hatred. It's just like a let's
genuine
try to
curiosity.
Level. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that about you.
So thank you. It's something that I feel like takes time. You have to definitely learn it.
Yeah.
But once you do and like take away like, not everyone's going to think what I think. Let's try and like listen to them a little bit, or let's try and like get into their mind of how they think, because it might open up your mind a little bit and you'll be able to feel more peace or more understanding. Like, it's just like, why live a life of anger and like, my way is the only right way.
Right.
I can't do that.
Get away from me.
Yep.
It's just not the way I want to go. Wow. That was a really good story. And I feel like not a lot of people get that story. What would you say to someone who has come out to their parents or their loved ones and they didn't get that reaction?
That was my biggest fear.
Yeah.
I was like, if I don't have, because my family, my siblings and my parents specifically are like my best friends. I see them on a weekly basis, all of them, except for the ones that are out of state, obviously. But my family is like everything. I will help them in any way possible. I'm always there for them if they need, someone to pick up from a flat tire or dinner's brought to you. Like, our family is very close.
That's awesome.
We're like siblings, but we're best friends. And that's how our parents raised us, to just be like, if we have no one else in the world, we have each other.
Yeah.
And I love that so much. And that's something that I like will always cherish. But there are people, which breaks my fucking heart, that people have family that would like disown someone from a disagreement. And some people, there's the trans community, there's the gay community, there's so many people that can be, even like a political thing. Sometimes parents are like, you're no longer my son if you do that.
Oh, 100%.
And it's like, how sad to like look at your child that you love and say, no, not anymore.
Yeah.
I just could never. So for those people, I have those people in my life. I have friends who have been 100% cut off and blocked, and their parents like, I never want to see you again. And they don't know how, but they're doing well.
Yeah.
But something that I've asked them, like, what have you done? Which is why I feel like I can answer this question, is they said, I have found my community.
Oh,
you have to find your community. You can find friends, a future partner. Like, finding your people is such a game-changing like experience. My friend group is something I cherish so much, because there's people sometimes I call first. I'm like, oh, guys, guess what? This. Like, you have to find your people, because if you have, your family doesn't support you and you isolate yourself, you're just going to feel so lonely. And that's not healthy. Like, you need to have people that lift you up and make you feel confident. I'm always someone that will be that for you.
Aww.
Like, I would never want someone to feel like they don't have a community, because there is someone for everyone.
There really is.
There's friends that are going to support you and love you. Especially it's 2024.
Yeah.
Grow up.
Exactly.
So it's like seeing
so
people,
many more deeper issues.
Yes.
At
so
play.
many deeper issues than someone being attracted to the same sex.
Literally.
Come on.
I'm like, are we still talking about this?
Is this still a thing?
It's weird.
So I would just say, find your community, focus on yourself.
Yeah.
Really like figure out what you want in life. Like, I want this, and this, and go find it, because it exists in the world. Like, there's so much diversity in the world, whether it's moving to a different state and going on Facebook and saying, I'm, a new person in this community, I need new friends. I love doing this, and this, and wait for it. Like, there is community everywhere, and community is not always blood. I will take that to my grave.
I will too.
There are some people I trust with my life, and they are someone that I met a year ago.
Yeah.
So it's like, you just have to find your people. And when you find someone, they're usually friends with those similar people. And then you just have this whole community of people that love you truly unconditionally.
Yeah.
I feel like some people have conditions. Like, I love you, but I just can't support that. And it's like, well, then you don't love me.
Oh, yeah. I definitely, I am so on board with you saying like your family doesn't have to be blood.
Absolutely.
I definitely have issues with many people in my family, and them telling me literally verbatim like, well, you didn't earn this love. Oh, so it is conditional. That's conditional love. That's not real, and you're kind of fucked up here if you think that way.
And it's hard for me too, because I feel like many religions often preach God is love.
Yeah.
What are you doing when you're telling your son, you're not my son anymore because you're gay?
Right.
Really?
Is that
That's not love? There's not an ounce of love behind that.
No.
So that has never made sense to me. And I don't think it ever will.
No, and it shouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I guess the last thing I want to talk about, but I forgot to talk about it at the beginning where it was kind of flowing, was your experience with nurses.
Yes.
Wrapping it back around, because you told me you have a story to tell about your nephew.
Yes. So I absolutely love talking about my nephew. I think he is a legend. And I have tattoos on that represent him. There was a Sunday that my sister called me and said, something's not right. Like, she was looking at her son's eyes and she goes, it looks like they're almost like about to pop out. Like, something's not right. Like, I'm going to take him to an urgent care. And from that day on was a whole experience that we did not know was going to be like coming up. Mm-hmm. Our family has never experienced cancer before. Like, we've never seen it in our family. So it was something that was very new to us. And honestly, everyone in my family has always been happy and healthy. We've never had any big health scares in our family, meaning like my siblings and parents. Obviously, aunts and uncles is different, but like with our family, like I was 22 at the time. I was like, we've never had anything like this.
Yeah.
Like, we've never had a family have a really big health scare. So she went and took him in just to have like a little checkup, make sure everything was okay. And they noticed some things, and they wanted to do like a scan on the brain. Is that a CAT scan?
It depends, but yeah, CT,
some form of like an X-ray on his brain to see how, like, making sure there wasn't extra fluid or wasn't swelling.
Yeah.
And they noticed that there was a tumor on his brain. And obviously, when you hear tumor, like, you just like shut down.
Yeah.
And it was basically just a living hell for my sister for a long time. And it was something that she had no education on. She was like, I don't know what this means. Like, I've never heard of anybody. It was he had ATRT, which is a form of cancer that his tumor was. And it was, I believe, 5 centimeters.
Oh, wow.
And it just was getting worse and growing. And it was through time that she basically was like, what do we do? And that really brought our family close. Yeah. Really getting together of like, we need to like meals, we need to make sure everyone is like united. And it was one of the most beautiful things. Like, when I came out, like, our family got close, but like this really made our family close. Like, we truly have no idea when our last day is. We need to treat every day now like it's our last. So like, our family became so close. And Logan like had such an impact. He was a 9-month-old baby when he passed away. He was diagnosed when he was 2 or 3 months, and his little 6 to 8 month life was so short, but he changed so many people's lives.
Yeah.
So she basically they were looking at, you know, surgeries and like, what does this mean? I think it was called a stunt that they put on.
Yes.
Don't know exactly what that means. A stent, something like that.
I don't even know exactly what it means for cancer and everything.
Totally. Cancer is a whole thing that I am not educated on, and I'll never claim I know everything about it. And basically, they got the news like, things aren't looking good, and basically like the doctor made her feel like there was no hope, and she was like so emotional, and she was basically like sharing her story on social media, and she found a community, which I found was so beautiful, because that's the thing, finding a community
every time.
And she found her community of other people that were in the same experience. And there was one night we were basically told like, there's nothing left, like basically just enjoy like the time he has left. And getting that news was so hard, because we were like, it's only been a couple of weeks and you're saying that that's it? That's all we can do? Like, it's modern science. Like, it's 2022. Like, what else? There has to be something else. So there was one night my sister could not sleep, obviously. And she had a feeling to just go on St. Jude's website, share his story. And I think it was the next morning, I want to say, St. Jude had called my sister and said, we want to fly you and your son out immediately.
Oh my God. And
St. Jude will forever, ever have a space in my heart. The way, because sending her off to be alone was so hard to witness, because obviously as our family is so close, we just want to be there every second of every day to make sure she's okay. And when she was here in Arizona, like, we were like very close, like distance wise, so it was very easy to go over and see how she was doing, check in on her. And it was before they went to St. Jude. It was just, he was living in the hospital, and like, it was so hard for her because she felt so alone. And once they got the call that she could take him to St. Jude, like, our family felt hope again.
Yeah.
So she went to St. Jude for months, and St. Jude took such good care of her. And she would just call me crying about how one of the nurses would just braid her hair.
Aww.
Or bring her something to, like, you go walk around, I'll watch him so you can, like, get some fresh air alone. Like, just the things that the nurses did, they really came together. And there is something special about St. Jude. There is something in the air there. They have the sweetest hearts. And she would just always tell me, because I would call her almost every day, how are you? What's new? Do you want to talk about anything? And she would always just have amazing things to say about nurses. Aww. And the nurses were truly like her saving grace. It was like our family was there almost. Wow. They took care of her like they were family. And she would just rave about how sweet they are and how they would take care of her. And basically through time, they did surgeries and the tumor was gone. Wow. And we were so thrilled. They had a successful surgery. They had removed the tumor and things were looking really good. But they wanted to continue him on chemotherapy so that it wouldn't come back. And that's what ended up taking him, was the chemotherapy.
Really?
And there's always times where I'm like, obviously we don't know why things happen, but I remember one specific experience. So basically they came back from St. Jude and they went to Phoenix Children's for like just routine chemotherapy. And I was in there with her, and it took 8 hours for him to do a session of chemotherapy.
Wow.
And he would just sit in his little crib and go through it. And me and my sister would just sit there on our tablets and laugh together. I have the cutest videos of us just laughing, having fun, making light of it.
Yeah.
But
because that's what you can do.
100%. Yeah. But I will take this to my grave. My sister is the strongest person I know. Oh. Seeing her go through that and how she handled situations, even see how she handles things now with such grace. And she's taking this experience and trying to help other people who are in the same position now. She like is always thinking about like, what can I do to help other people? Do I write a book? Do I do this? Do I do that? Like, she is always thinking of others. Even though she went through something that you don't wish upon your biggest enemy, she went through the worst thing ever. She's still trying to find that outlet of how to help other people. Yeah. And she has found her community, and I feel like you're never really the same after you lose a child. You're never going to be the same. But she has made such light of the experience, and she loves talking about him. He will forever be a legacy in our family. Like, we just always say that Logan is someone that changed all of our lives. Yeah. His little smile, his little perfect lips, and his perfect nose. He was just the cutest, most perfect baby. So like, having that be something that the nurses specifically, and every time I meet a nurse now, or I'm in public and I see a nurse checking out at the store, I always go up and say thank you so much for what you do. Oh, because truly, like, you guys see some of the worst things. Yeah, you see people in their darkest moments, but you have to put on like what can I do to help them? Mm-hmm. When if it was me, I'd want to go in the bathroom and cry every day, and I'm sure you probably do. But just my respect and love for nurses, especially after that experience with Logan, just forever, I'm like, I will forever have respect for you guys and how much heart that you have to have, how much love you have to give. It's a hard thing, and anybody in that field, I don't know how you do it. You are a special person if you can do that, because it could not be me. But they truly, I feel like, were my sister's saving grace, because they were so passionate and would always try to find a way to help her. And it was the cutest thing, and it's really cute because she still follows them on Instagram to this day. They still check in on her. That's like, really sweet. That's really sweet. You are in a career where you are underpaid, underappreciated, but you are still reaching out to patients that have not been there in years, and you're still reaching out and like figuring out a way to like help these people, like checking in on them. Like, what a beautiful thing.
This episode, I just feel like it's such a good one. You have such a good story.
Thank you.
I don't know if you know that, but like, you are a strong person too.
Thank you.
And obviously your sister for what she's been through, but
totally,
you've been through so much, and I feel like that's like, I'm excited that you said yes to this, because I feel like there's so many people that can benefit from hearing your story.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's really all I have today.
No, I loved it. That was so much fun.
Good. Can you tell everyone where they can find you?
Absolutely. It's the same on everything. It's Scotty Hatch with 2 H's, because someone else stole them with just one H.
Damn it. I hate when that happens.
SCOTTYHATCH. Not one.
I'll have his socials linked in the description below, but thank you so much. This was great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Okay. Until next time. Bye, guys.